shoulders. So we'll go ahead and have your strap handy and come to lie on your back. We'll start on our back. Rolling back, coming into partial recline with our feet down. Pinning the tailbone down, you can horseshoe your hands right to the top of your thighs. Push a little bit and lengthen the spine. Drawing the chin in slightly to the back of the neck is long. Bring your palms to the belly. Empty the breath completely. And take a 3-part breath, building the breath from the pelvic floor to the collarbones at your own pace. As you're ready, exhale the reverse direction, collarbone to pelvic floor, nice and slow. Again, inhaling, perhaps the breath a little deeper this time. Hold, suspend for a moment, and slowly exhale the breath, tracing the movement of the breath down the whole torso to the pelvic floor. One more time, deepest breath yet. Suspend at the top of the breath and gently exhale, emptying the breath completely. Gather your right knee in and release your hands underneath the knee. Draw the knee toward the chest, a little bit toward the armpit and then back in. And extend your left leg. Flex the foot as if you're stepping on that foot. Gather the knee in. Empty the breath here, compressing a little deeper. Grab a hold of your strap now. Find the middle of the strap. And bring it out around the ball mount of the foot. Extend the leg up. Lift the hip for a moment, the right hip. Wedge your thumb right where the torso and the thigh meet and press the leg a little bit away to lengthen and find a deeper crease here. Grab the strap with both hands and draw the leg in. Maintaining activity in the left leg and a long neck. Now take a hold of the strap with your right hand, both sides, and let the leg fall toward the right slowly. Left hand can come to the hip point, keeping the sacrum grounded. Just a little bit of micro movement here to feel through the inner thigh and the hamstring and the hips. Gently gather the leg back up. Catch the two sides of the strap with your left hand and just cross the midline. Accessing IT band and outer thigh. Draw the foot a little bit toward the head and a little bit further to the left. Come back in. Release the strap. Catch a hold of the outside of the foot. Come into half happy baby. Drawing the knee toward the floor, right next to the armpit. Empty the breath. Slowly release the leg. Both feet back to partial recline. Find your symmetry here. Readjust your posture. Gather the left knee in. Interlace your hands underneath the knee. Draw the knee in. Extend your left leg out. Staying connected to the breath here. Deep inhales. Complete exhales. Compress the knee in. Enliven the right leg. Taking a hold of the strap. Finding the middle of the strap. Ball mount of the left foot. Again, give yourself that little self-assist, wedging the left thumb to where the thigh and the torso meet. Press the leg a little bit away and draw the leg down in with both hands. Continuously flexing the right leg so the right leg is active. Empty the breath, draw the leg a little closer. Catch the strap with the left hand and find a slow descent toward the left. Right hand to the right hip point until you feel the inner thigh here. Any bit of movement, just some inquiry into the hip and hamstring and inner thigh. Gently gather that leg back up. Catch the strap with the right hand. Cross the midline. Just until you come into sensation, into the outer thigh, back of the leg. Draw the foot a little toward the head and further out toward the right. Come back to center. Release the strap down. Half happy baby. Drawing the left knee toward armpit and floor. Now gather the right foot down to the floor and come into full happy baby. Some styles like to catch the inside of the foot. Drawing the knees down toward the floor, feel the sacrum fully down. Now bring the feet together, finding a Baddha Konasana on the floor. With your elbows, you can wedge the calves open. Release the legs, catch underneath the thighs. Lift the head and slowly start to rock and roll until you come all the way up and then go back overhead and all the way up. Just feeling the contact of the body with the floor. And in your own time, when you're ready, cross the ankles at the top, ground into the palms, and step back to down dog. Empty the breath in down dog, heels down, tailbone lifting, arms straight and taut. Inhale, roll out into plank. Exhale, let the knees come down and find a toe stretch back. Traction the arms forward, empty the breath, hips to heels. Inhale, back through plank. Strong core, collarbone smiling open. Exhale, adjust into down dog. Inhale, back to plank. Exhale, release the knees down, toe stretch, go back. Inhale, round through the center this time and lengthen the body out and over to the mat. Extend the legs behind us and find a Sphinx pose. Ground through the forearms, traction the heart forward, relax the shoulders back. Pin the fronts of the feet down to the mat. Exhaling, coming forward a little bit, lengthening, making a triangle underneath our forehead. Press into the palms and extend the arms. Pin the pubic bone down, project the heart forward. Find really active arms here in a little mini back bend. Empty the breath and slowly release. Bring the hands by the chest, tuck the toes, hips to heels. Down dog. With an inhale, step the right foot forward. Low lunge, framing the foot with a hand. On your next exhale, straighten the legs, go out and over the midline. Reach the left heel toward the mat. Inhale, return to the lunge. Active back leg, heart opening forward. And exhale, out and over the midline. Last time, inhale, come forward, shoulders relaxed, extend through the inseam of the back leg. Exhale, out and over, perhaps a little bit deeper. Inhale, come back through the lunge, turn to the long side of the mat, parallel the feet. With your exhale, crab to the left, pinning the left knee open with your elbow. Project the heart forward and the tailbone back so we feel long through the torso. Relax the shoulders. Empty the breath completely. Turn toward the front of the mat and come into down dog. Exhaling to deepen. Inhale, plank pose, heart forward, active legs, strong core. Exhale, knees, chest, chin, hugging the elbows in. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale to down dog. With our next inhale, we'll step the left foot forward. Same sequence this side, low lunge. Activate through the right leg. Exhaling out and over the midline. Pyramid pose. Inhale, come forward. Reach through the back heel, open through the heart. Empty the breath out and over. One more time, inhaling, low lunge with the back knee lifted. Empty the breath. Extend the legs and fold into the midline. With our inhale, we come through the lunge, turn to the long side of the mat. Make sure your feet are aligned. And exhaling, slowly coming into crab on our second side, pinning the right knee open and releasing the hips down, feeling length through the torso. Exhaling to deepen. Left knee straight. Inhaling, coming through, turning to the front of the mat and stepping back to down dog. Plank pose, holding plank. Activate the core, feel the legs really strong. Gazing a little bit forward, collarbones open, eyes at the elbows turn forward. With the next exhale, knees down, toe stretch, go back. Press into the toes, extend the torso. Inhale, unfurl through the center, and once again, drape down on the mat. Tuck the toes to lengthen the legs, Sphinx pose. Traction the arms backward, heart forward, relax the shoulders, chin parallel to the floor. As we traction back with the arms, we come down long, pin the feet down, bring the hands to the sides of the shoulders slightly out, and rise up into another variation of cobra. Gather the outer thighs toward each other, curl the inner thighs toward the floor, pin the pubic bone down, heart offering forward, you can gaze slightly up, relax the shoulders down the back. With our next exhale, slowly releasing down, hands by the chest, hips to heels, come to down dog. Widening the feet now to the edges of the mat. Walk your hands back to the feet, turn the toes out, and slowly descend into our first squat. Not here for long, trying to bring the heels down. We can widen the feet. Empty the breath, pin your left knee and open your right knee out. Coming back through center, switch sides. You can come to the knife edge of that left foot as we open gently with a palm. Slowly coming through center, lift the hips, parallel the feet, make them more narrow, and walk the hands out. Come into a down dog. Grab your blanket and place it to the middle of the mat. So we can release our knees down to the blanket, extend the feet, and rise up to the knees. Interlace the hands behind the head. Empty the breath here. Taking a nice long inhale, building it from the pelvic floor to the collarbones. Fill the breath. Hold the breath in, curl down and up. Finding your range of motion and finding your pace with this. You can go a little faster than me or a little slower. Making sure as we rise up, we lift the heart up, relax the shoulders down, holding the breath in. Meeting at the top, slowly exhale. Hands to heart center. Take a breath or two. Release the hands down, ground through the palms, adjust to down dog. Now step the feet forward just enough so your heels come to be fully grounded. Try not to shift the weight forward. Keep pressing into the palms. Releasing the heels down. Finding equal strength in the arms. Emptying the breath here. Step the left foot slightly back and inhale the right leg up. Exhale, come forward to modified plank. Shoulders over the wrists, knee toward the nose. Inhale, reach up. And exhale to modified. Push the floor away, gather the leg in. Inhale, reach the leg up. Now open the hip, bend the knee, and drive the left heel down as we square our chest down toward the mat. Grounding through the palms, trying to keep our shoulders equally squared toward the floor. Re-extend that right leg, position it down to down dog, and step the left foot forward. Release the knee to the blanket. Take a breath or two to adjust the posture so you can melt the hips forward and open the heart. Roll over the front of the back knee to roll the hips forward. Take an inhale here. With the next exhale, tuck the back toes and flex the front foot, half splits. Once more, inhale, come forward, extend through the back foot, open through the hips and the heart, and exhale, tuck the back toes, flex the left foot. This time, stay in half splits. You can bring your hands right to the hips. Traction the hips back. Hinging and folding, activate the left leg. Empty the breath here. Release the hands down again, come forward. Lift the back knee, come through a pyramid for a moment. And then forward into standing L. The fingertips are framing the left leg. Flex the right foot. Dial the pinky toe side down and really feel the legs super active. Now gather the palms to heart center and slowly hinging, rise up. Finding knee to chest. Really activating the left leg, fixing the gaze, tuning the breath. Slowly releasing, bringing the palms to heart center. Come back for that modified warrior 3. Release the hands down and step over the blanket. Coming into down dog. Once again, shorten your stance so your heels are just down on the mat. Ground into the palms, especially the inner side of the palms. Straighten the elbows. Let the head release, coming into the short down dog. Keep grounding through the left hand. Bring your right hand to the outside of the left shin. And find a little bit of a twist here. As we release, continually releasing the heels down and gazing underneath our left shoulder. Try not to change lower body, return that hand, and go to the other side. Left hand to the right shin. Ground through the right palm, strong right arm. Heels releasing down. Empty the breath, rotate it through, lengthening right side body. Return the left hand. Step the left foot slightly back, the right foot slightly back. Reach the left leg up, inhale, and exhale, modified plank. Inhale, re-extend, hips squaring. Exhale for modified. Inhale, reach up. Open the hip and bend the knee. And once again, find the alignments on this side. Yawning that knee open, drive the right heel down. Empty the breath to deepen. Re-extend the left leg, bring it down. Step the right foot forward over the blanket. And release the left knee to the blanket. Take a breath or two to find the posture here so that your right knee is over the ankle and we're melting the hips in. Inhaling here. With our next exhale, tucking the back toes, flex the front foot, empty the breath, half splits. Inhale, bring it forward, opening, and exhaling, taking it back. Staying right here, activate the right leg, bring the hands to the hips. Gather the hips back, hinge and fold. And really activate the right leg here, strong flex, shoulders relaxed, empty the breath. Return forward through the lunge. Straighten the legs. Take a moment in pyramid pose. And gently come forward, finding our standing L. So our left leg is squaring directly down, chest, hips parallel to the floor. As we're ready, we can bring the palms to heart center and slowly scissor to rise. Knee to chest. Standing strong on the right leg and lengthening up through the crown. Palms to heart center. Come back through the warrior three. Fingers down, hands down, step back to down dog. Widen the legs once more, walk the hands back. Open the toes and squat at the back of the mat. With your right hand, pin the right knee, open the left knee open. With your other hand, coming to the knife edge of the foot, slowly release down, move to the second side, exhaling here. Come back through center, finding our first round of Kapalabhati. Feel free to sit on a block. Pin the knees open and open through the heart space. Relax the shoulders. Empty the breath completely. Now inhaling part of the way to begin. As you exhale the stomach, navel center pumps in. Empty completely. Soften everything, including the hands. Take a deep breath into the whole torso. Re-inhale, hold the breath in, relaxing the whole body inside and out. As we're ready, we gently exhale. Allow the hands to release down. Slowly lift the hips, straighten the legs, toe heel the feet in. Empty the breath and fold into your legs at the back of the mat. Soften the knees and walk out into a down dog. Step the right foot forward, one footprint. Turn the right foot out a little bit, 30 degrees. Right hand catches right at the top of the ankle to the shin bone. And then slowly float the left leg up. Try not to collapse into the left shoulder. Keep drawing the shoulder away from the ear. Just let the left leg float up to a natural place. To a place where you find a balance. Feel that you're lengthening that left leg out of the hip socket and strengthening the right leg a lot. Right foot is fully grounded. Empty the breath here. Return the hands back. Release the left foot down and step the right foot behind the right hand. Let your left knee come down and rise up into the square position here. Front calf, back thigh, perpendicular to the floor. Reach up with the left arm and exhale, slice across to twist. Pressing into the palms, lengthening through the torso. Exhaling, each time twisting a little deeper. Palms coming to heart center, shoulders relaxing down. Twist the torso through Breathing in to lengthen. And exhaling to go a little bit deeper. One more breath in and out here. Empty the breath and deepen. Coming through center. Swing your left arm up and back, right hand to the hip. Half camel, you can either bring your left hand to the waist or catch that heel. Your right hand can come behind the head for support. Press your hips forward, activate through the left leg and reach through the heart. You can continue to support your head or the arm can reach up or back. Keep releasing your hips forward, rising through the heart, activating left leg all the way to the glute. Empty the breath here, slowly coming up. Palms to heart center. Release the hands to the inside. Now very slowly, lift your left foot and catch the outer ankle with the left hand. Rise back up and catch the foot with both hands. Vertical with that knee, we're on a blanket, so the knee is comfortable. Empty the breath completely. Inhaling to the pelvic floor. Re-inhale. Mula Bandha, hold the breath in, lift the pelvic floor up. Slow exhale. Very gently. Come down, bring the hands to the inside of the right foot and turn to the long side of the mat. This time a shorter stance. Make sure the toes and the heels are lined up. The outsides of the feet parallel. Soften the knees a lot. Interlace your hands behind the back. Straighten your elbows, palms apart or together. Dive the torso toward the legs. Knees bending any amount. Tuning into the breath here. With every exhale, perhaps releasing the arms a little deeper overhead. Let the head go. Waterfall the torso down. Empty the breath completely. Let the hands release down. Lengthen and open. Go toward the front of the mat. Right foot in front, left foot behind us. Again, finding a pyramid just for a moment. And shift the weight into the right leg, back into that standing L. Strengthening posture to activate both legs. You can bring your right hand to a block or the floor. Slowly start to open. Bring your left hand to rest on the torso and the thigh. Open toward half moon. Find the variation today where we flex that foot. Just turn the hips. You can even use your left hand on the left hip point to turn. As you're ready, maybe the arm lifts. The whole side turning, the whole torso turning toward that left side. Align the rib cage. Reach and open. Release back now through standing L. Find it. Warrior 3 posture. Gather the palms to heart center. And slowly rise back up. Touchdown or not. Knee to chest. Turn the knee out and find tree pose. Palms to heart center. Gather the foot and the leg toward each other. Ground through the ball mount of the right foot to really lengthen up. As you're ready, if you'd like, open the arms out to a cactus. And then reaching up, holding underneath the right wrist. Lengthen, lift the rib cage from the waist. And lengthen here. Draw the navel in. Breathing here. Tree pose. Now keep holding on to that right arm. Bring the feet hip distance apart. And exhale up, out, and over toward the left. Inhaling in place. Exhale, go ahead and deepen. Inhale, rise up, release the hands. Exhale, let your right hand come down and extend for the long exhalation toward the right with your left fingertips. Inhaling, rising up, gazing up, palms together, and exhaling, folding into the legs. Lengthen and prepare. Step the left foot back, the right foot is forward. Have your strap handy and let your left knee descend to the blanket. Bring both hands to the inside, so we're a little bit wider than a regular crescent moon here between the front foot and the back knee. Grab your strap. If you don't have the strap, you can do what we did before, just catching that left foot with your left hand, drawing in and melting the hips forward. Slightly different with the strap. Lift the left foot slowly, loop the foot. Now, gather the hand to the shoulder, square forward, left elbow forward and up. You can have your hand on a block or on the right knee, or you can release the right hand, bring it to the left elbow. Now, in this posture with the strap, we're kicking the foot away from the body as we melt the hips in. So it's really super intense, very strengthening and opening at the same time. Continually kick away, melt the hips in, squeeze into that left leg all the way to the bone. Breathe. Slowly releasing the hand to the right knee, left hand to shoulder. Let everything go. Gather your strap and have it handy for the second side. Step back over your blanket and come to a down dog. Inhale and roll out into plank. And again, take a moment in plank, strengthening the legs, strengthening the core, neither sagging the hips nor lifting them high, pressing into the palms. Gather forward with your collarbones. With the next exhale, let the knees release down and press back, into a toe stretch. Lengthen the arms. Gather over the hands and come back to down dog. Preparing for the second side, bring your left foot one footprint forward, open it out. Left hand above the ankle, lift your right leg up. Keep pressing strongly into the right arm so the body doesn't come forward. Lengthen that right leg out of the hip socket as we ground through the left leg. Breathing here. Extending, opening. Strengthening and opening at the same time. Release the left hand back. Right leg comes up and step the left foot behind the left hand. Release the right knee and come up into our square position. Inhaling, reaching up through the right arm. Exhaling, slicing across, press into the palms. Feel the stability of the lower body. Exhale, twist. With the inhale, we lengthen, and with the exhale, we twist. Gazing at your forearms, make sure they're making one line here. We're lengthening through the crown of the head, relaxing the shoulders. Breathing deeply into the twist. One more breath in and out. Empty the breath and deepen the twist. Coming through the center. I'm bringing the left hand to the hip. Inhale, sweep the right arm forward, up and back. Again, the option to have it at the waist or bring the hand to the right heel. Catch your head with the left hand and let the hips release forward. Focus on that right leg.
Really getting super strong. Staying here for support or arm reaching up or back. Keep pressing the hips a little bit forward here in our half camel. Reaching through the heart, opening. Feel the right leg all the way to the glute. Empty the breath and deepen. Slow inhale. Gather the palms to heart center, square forward. And let the hands release inside. Moving nice and slowly. Pick up the right foot. Catch the ankle with the right hand. Feel the palm on the ankle bone rise up. And then grab the foot with both hands. Gather the heel in toward the buttocks. Find a stable position here. Feel the stretch in the quad. You can wing your elbows slightly back. Heart opening. Shoulders relax. Empty the breath completely. Inhale from Mula Bandha to the pelvic floor. Re-inhale. Pull the breath in. Mula Bandha. Lift the pelvic floor up into the body. Exhale slow. And again, gently releasing the foot. Hands come inside. And we turn to the long side of the mat in a narrow stance. With the legs, hands underneath the shoulders. Empty the breath here. Reverse swan, come all the way up. And exhaling, interlace the hands behind the back. Non-dominant grip. Inhale, open through the heart. Straighten the elbows. Palms together or apart. And dive back in. Knees bending any amount that supports you. Let the head release. Fold in. And bringing the arms overhead. Take another 2 or 3 breaths here. Let the head completely dangle. Reach the arms overhead. Waterfall the torso down. Empty the breath and deepen. Slowly release the hands. Bring them underneath the shoulders, find length. Turn toward the front of the mat, left foot in front. Find a narrow pyramid for a moment. And then launch forward gently, coming into standing L. Finding that squaring down, reaching through the back heel, dialing pinky toe side down. Now left hand to floor or block, start to peel the hips open toward the right side. You can start with your arm gently resting on the torso and the thigh. And when you're ready, the arm can reach up. Flex the right foot. Bring the left rib cage underneath the right. Find length in the whole body and a lot of strength in the standing leg and the extended leg. Reaching and opening. Returning back through the standing L. Gather the palms to heart center and gently come up. Knee to chest to tree pose. Find the foot and the leg coming toward each other, lengthen through the crown. Opening the arms out in a cactus. And then when you're ready, extend, hold underneath the left wrist. And lengthen the arm up without unplugging the shoulder. Keep holding on to the left wrist, feet hip distance apart, nice and aligned. Exhale, keep the line of the body, go to the right. Inhale in place, and exhale, go a little bit deeper, tugging a little bit onto that left arm. Inhale, rise up, release. Exhale, left arm releases. Take a long exhalation, up, out, and over toward the left. Inhale, come up. Look up, palms touch, tailbone releases. Exhale, fold into the legs. Lengthen and prepare. And now we'll step the right foot over the blanket. A little bit wide between the feet. Let your right knee come down. Take a moment to feel the right distance. Melt the hips in. Both hands to the inside. No strap. You're going to gently lift the foot. Catch the ankle and draw it in any manner that it just feels comfortable for you for a balance. And if you're using the strap, go ahead and find the loop. Hold away from the buckle. Slowly lift the foot, loop it. And moving slowly, we're not in a hurry to get anywhere. Coming through every phase mindfully. Bring the right hand to the shoulder. Let the elbow come forward and up. And melt the hips in. Really immediately find the posture. Kick the foot away from the body. Melt the hips in. Squeeze all the muscles to the bone. If you're comfortable releasing the left hand, catch the elbow to bring that elbow more into the midline. Kick away, melt in, squeeze to the bone. Kicking away a little bit more, empty the breath here. Slowly, hand comes to shoulder. Other hand can come down. Release your strap, bring it to the side. Square forward and step into down dog. Take a few breaths in down dog. If you want, after that intense leg work, if you want to step out the heels a little bit or bend the knees, just take 3 more breaths. When you're ready, coming into stillness. Emptying the breath, deepening into our down dog. Soften the knees and the elbows and bring the knees simultaneously onto the blanket. Extend the feet. Knees are hip distance apart. Bring your palms forward, shoulder level, facing each other. Take a deep breath. And exhale, go back with your body, not a back bend, just going back. This is a leg strengthener until you feel your thighs really burning here. So gather the outer thighs toward the midline. Feel nice and long from the pelvic floor to the shoulders, like you're lying on a plank. Go back a little bit more. Empty the breath. With the inhale, gather the palms to heart center and come to vertical. Tuck the toes. Preparing for a variation of full camel. You can start with your hands on the hips. You can do the whole posture with your hands on the hips. You can bring your thumbs right above the tailbone and almost energetically encouraging the tailbone to tuck under, then lifting through the heart to open the front line of the body. Feeling the sacrum, lumbar region nice and long, the heart opening, space in the spine behind the heart. You can stay right here, gazing up, or bring your hands to the heels. Naturally, you have to go back, then repress forward. Energetically feel the same thing with your tailbone. Lift through the heart, and finally, you can release your head back. Breathing in our camel. Gather the outer thighs in. Feel the inner thighs fire up. Press the hips forward, reach up through the heart. Breathe expansively. Strong core and inner thighs. Slowly come up. Palms to heart center. Let the hands come down now. Tabletop. Inhale into a gentle cow. And exhale into a deep cat. Let the head release. Inhaling, cow. And exhaling, cat. Last time, breathing in. And breathing out. Push the floor away. Let the head go. Hiss the spine up. Inhaling through neutral, tuck the toes. And come into down dog. Now we can remove our blanket. Leave it somewhere where it's handy for later in the practice. Come into down dog. Gather the feet a little closer together. Inhale the right leg up. And exhale, come forward and place it for warrior two. Left heel comes down. Foot to instep alignment. Rise it up. Activating the right leg. Extending through the arms. Left knee straight. Go a little bit deeper. You can go as deep as bringing the right thigh parallel to the floor. Inhaling, straighten the right leg. Exhale, rebend for side angle. Bring the elbow over the knee. Position your left arm down on the thigh for a moment. Shine everything toward the left side. And then sweep the left arm down and forward and up overhead. You can stay right here or glide the hand down to the inner ankle and spin the chest up. There's a slight twist in this position here as the chest spins up. Reaching through the left fingertips without the shoulder coming toward the ear. Empty the breath to deepen. Swim the left arm forward and down. Transition through a low lunge, ball mount of the back foot. Let the knee release gently, but roll to the front of the back knee. Extend the neck of the foot, and then lift the back knee up so that you're on the front of the foot. Preparation for splits. Traction the back foot forward and the front foot backward. If you have blocks, you can put blocks to either side. You can even use one block here with both hands on it. And once again, that feeling that we're squeezing into that back leg. Gathering all the muscles into the bone. With the next exhale, gently let the knee come down, removing any props you may have used. Slowly take your time, straighten the front foot, bring your back foot to the middle of the mat, and find your seat on the heel, right on the perineum. Reach for the ankle, the calf, or the foot. Anything that sustains a nice long line at a 45-degree angle with the torso. Roll your arms gently back, open through the heart, chin parallel to the floor, tongue to the roof of the mouth. Preparing for a round of Kapalabhati. Inhaling part of the way to begin. Empty the breath. Take a slow inhale, build the breath from the pelvic floor to the collarbone. Re-inhale. Keep everything as it is. Mula Bandha. Lift the pelvic floor. You'll feel the pit of the belly right above the pubic bone also lifting. Hold the breath in. Active right leg. Gently release Mula Bandha and exhale. Taking your time, just coming down for a breath or two here. Preparing for splits, have your blanket handy. If you like to use a blanket, you can roll it to any level. Have it ready to go. Bring your hands by your sides, come to the vertical, and gently come forward with the support of our hands. Toe heel the right foot forward. Flex the left foot, level one. As Dharma Mitra teaches it, the left foot is flexed. We're rolling over the front of the back knee and just releasing the hips down with the front knee deeply bending and the calf at an angle. Otherwise, you can also extend the leg forward, grab your blanket, and if you're using the blanket underneath the right thigh, gently extend. You can simultaneously extend the left leg back and find your splits. We can always start with the back toes tucked so that we steer and come into the right alignment and lengthen the back leg. And then when you're ready, if you prefer to have the back foot pointed, you can point it. Just make sure that the outer ankle is coming in so you're not sickling the back foot. Stay inside the posture, just tune the breath and stay connected with this sensation. 3 more breaths, staying here, or if you would like, this time you can fold forward. Sometimes when you fold forward, you're able to go a little bit deeper into it. Maybe you lose the blanket. Empty the breath. If you're down, rise up. Removing the blanket, slowly tip toward the right. Take your time. Invite the right foot toward the left hip point. Re-square forward, tuck the back toes, and come to down dog. Empty the breath. Inhale for plank pose. Exhale, let the knees come down wide. Feet together, child's pose. Take a breath or two here, traction the torso long. Empty the breath. With the next inhale, glide forward, close to the ground and open. You can tuck your toes to find length and slowly release down. Lengthen the legs and bring them together. Then extend the feet. Rise to a baby cobra, so barely any use of the arms. Now, really activate the legs. You'll feel the kneecaps lift from the floor. Pin the feet down. Interlace your hands behind you. Find the non-dominant grip and rise up to this variation of cobra. Feel the activity of the legs. Lengthen the arms back and up a little bit. Stay comfortable with the neck. Reach up a little bit more. Soften down. Hands by the chest. Tuck toes, hips to heels. Take a breath, traction long. With your next cycle of breath, we'll all meet in a down dog. Empty the breath here. Step the feet a little closer together. Inhale, the left leg lifts. And exhale, come forward, warrior 2 placement. Align the left foot with the right instep. Windmill and rise it up. Extend across the arms. Feel the outer edge of the right foot down. Some activity in the inner thigh of the front leg to keep tractioning over the toes. Find your level of depth with it. There's a nice variation where you just turn to gaze over your right palm. Rather, it's a way of finding alignment. Feel that extension and then turn your head again to gaze over the left. So both arms are lengthening out, shoulders over the hips, going a little bit deeper. Empty the breath. Inhale, straighten the left leg. Exhale, right back into that warrior two groove. Left elbow lightly over the knee, the right arm position on the torso and the leg. Shine everything to the right open side. When you're ready, drop the right arm down and overhead. And if you came with me previously, glide your hand to the inner ankle. Draw the left rib cage underneath you. Extend through the fingertips. Tune into the breath here. Find length from the right foot all the way to the fingertips. Shoulder away from the ear, spinning also the gaze upward. Empty the breath, reach and deepen. Swimming right arm to the inside. Ball mount of the right foot. Slowly release the knee down and extend the foot. Pin that foot down. You can frame your left foot and then lift the knee and feel that you're dragging that back foot in against the resistance of the sticky mat. The left foot dragging back. Use blocks or even one block. And gather everything into the midline. Make sure your back foot is not sickling. Breathe here. Squeeze all the muscles of the back leg into the bone. With our next exhale, gently release the knee down. Moving very slowly, straighten the front leg. Bring your right foot to the midline and sit on the heel. Right on the perineum. That's the area between the anus and the genitals. So neither on one spot nor the other, but right in the middle. Reach for the calf, ankle, or foot. Take a moment here, activate the left leg. Have a feeling almost like you're rowing, like your upper spine is in a little bit of a back bend. Open the collarbones. Chin placement, tongue placement. Empty the breath. Inhale part of the way for Kapalabhati. Empty the breath completely. Take a nice long inhale. 3-part breath. Build it from the pelvic floor to the collarbones. Re-inhale at the top. Mula Bandha, staying exactly in position. Slow exhale. And gently kind of releasing down just for a breath or two. Preparing for splits on our second side. Rise it up. If you're using the blanket, have it handy. With the support of our hands, we're coming forward. Step the left foot a little forward. Tuck the right toes. If you took the first variation, the left calf at an angle, so the left ankle is in front of the knee. The back toes are tucked. Roll over the front of the back knee. This protects the kneecap and also allows you to go deeper into the stretch and the hip flexor. Stay here. Or if you did it on the first side, bring your blanket underneath the left hip and slowly take your time to extend the leg out. To extend your right leg back until you can settle. Feel your upper inner thighs scissoring. And if you did it on the first side, after you align the back leg, You can extend the foot, invite the outer ankle in so we're not sickling the foot, and stay inside the posture, meaning stay connected to the breath. Do not resist the posture. I should have said it the first time, but half splits is always an option instead of full. Very intense opening. Last few breaths. If you did it with me, you can come forward a little bit. Perhaps as you come down, you don't need the support of the blanket, or you may continue to want it. Wherever we are, if you're folded down, we'll all meet up. Remove the blanket. If you're using it, tip to the left side. And slowly bring that left foot toward the right hip point. Take a moment to align forward. And then tuck the back toes and step back to down dog. Empty the breath here. Inhale and roll it out into plank. Exhale the knees down wide. Feet connect. Go back to child's pose. Extend through the fingertips. Reach the hips to the heels. Feel length. The knees are nice and wide. Empty the breath here, and then skimming and gliding along the floor. Come forward. Tuck the toes. Doing this to lengthen. Slowly come down. Roll over to your back. Take your time, no reason to move fast, just roll to the back. Head down, make sure the back of the neck is long. Feet in partial recline. We're going to find a strengthening bridge. Gather the legs in, catch the outsides of the ankles, and place the feet down close to the buttocks. You can curl your thighs toward the inner ankle. Make sure that your back of the neck is long, heels behind the toes. Slowly peel the hips up, and as you do so, shimmy your shoulder blades in toward each other. Lift the chest toward the chin, and come up as high as you can. Feel that the legs are sort of yearning toward each other. The knees energetically are going away. The hips are going up. Breathe here. We want to feel a lot of strength in the legs here. Draw the outer thighs toward each other. Feel engagement into the glute. Reach up a little higher. Slowly release down. Let the feet go a little bit further away. Palms come to the belly. Take a 3-part breath like we started. Suspend the breath for a moment. And then a very slow exhale. Collarbones all the way to the pelvic floor. Come back to the rhythm of the breath. The inhales and the exhales. One more bridge or an option for wheel. So I'll guide us through wheel. If you'd like to come into bridge, maybe this time you rise and interlace your hands underneath you and come up, wiggling the shoulder blades toward each other, lifting the hips. Or fingertips by the ears, bring your shoulders a little closer to the feet. Flip the hands. Momentarily the head comes down and then we press up. As we press up, you can draw your heels a little out, your toes a little in, so the feet come back to parallel. Press your torso toward the arms if you're in the wheel. Reach, open. Wheel or bridge, we're slowly all coming down. Again, we can step the feet away, bring your hands to the belly. One last time, take a 3-part breath here, allowing everything to normalize. Allow the exhalation to be steady, long, and complete. Slowly extending one leg at a time, flip back to the belly. Come through a Sphinx pose so we can find our alignment here. Wiggle the legs together, connect them, and traction the torso down, come down. We've been working with cobras through this practice, very grounding. So coming into the classic cobra, feet are connected, legs are connected, the tail of the cobra. If you're very bendy in the back, you can have your fingertips lining up with the shoulders, or less bendy, heels of the hands with the shoulders, or somewhere in between. Gather your elbows in and slowly come up, using the strength of your arms. Curl the inner thighs toward the floor. Keep your pubic bone pinned down, so that's your anchor. That means if you need to be really deeply bending in the elbows, that's fine. But straighten the arms exactly to that capacity. Reach the heart forward, gather the elbows in. This is also very much upper body strengthening. Keep pressing into the palms, reach the heart up, glide the shoulders down. Continually feel that your legs are one. You might even feel your kneecaps lifting off the floor. Slow exhale, release down. Bring the hands at chest level. Strong core. Rise up, keep the knees together, the feet together, and go back into a reclining child's pose. So bring the forehead down, bring your hands by the feet, and just relax here for a moment. If you'd like to make like this, you can pound a little bit, just pound on your lower back. Or with the breath, just allow your lower back and your whole back to open, to expand with the inhale, to relax with the exhale. Keep gathering your legs in. Now hands under the shoulders as we slowly rise. We're going to find Virasana. Hero's pose. Lying down or seated, keep the knees together, separate the feet, peel the calves away, and see if you can sit between the feet. If the seat does not come down, grab a block or a little edge of the blanket, because we definitely want the seat down so that there's not too much weight bearing in the knees. And then option one is to sit right here, just allowing our quads that we've worked a lot to stretch. Option two, go back. Now, if you're sitting on a block, you want to stay seated. If you're not sitting on a block and you're fully down, you can bring your elbows down. Take a moment here. Draw the tailbone between the knees. Right here is where you might stay, or final destination to come all the way down and reach the arms overhead. If the knees come off the mat, off the ground too much, you need to come back to the previous pose. We're not here for long, very intense stretch through the knees and the quads. Coming back out of it, bring your hands, if you're lying down, back to the heels. Come back up to the elbows. We'll meet you there if you were staying there. And very slowly we'll all come up to seated. If you're sitting on something, removing your prop, gently come forward, bring your palms down, come to tabletop, and just for a breath or two, stretch one leg back, followed by the other leg, just allowing the knees to release. Bring your knees together, your feet together, and sit on the heels for headstand practice. And I'll guide us through it. So if you have your own headstand, feel free to just go ahead and take your headstand. Make sure there's nothing you might fall on, like blocks or water bottles. Clear the space, in other words. And if you'd like to come with me, as always, I will guide us through. the beginning variation that we've learned from our teacher, Dharma Mitra. So also to feel free to follow as I'm moving through it, to follow the instructions, but also feel free to watch first. Once we have our head down, we don't want to look side to side, so feel free to watch it if you've never seen it before. We interlace our hands, creating a little bit of a webbing here. Place the hands down and the forearms down. The distance between the elbows is the same as the length of the forearms. Bring your head down so your palms are making a little hammock there, or helmet. The head is positioned somewhere between the hairline and the top of the head. So not too far forward and not on the crown of the head. Definitely not on the back of the head. Tuck the toes and lift the hips. Before doing anything else, draw your shoulders strongly away from the floor. Tiptoe the feet in. Take your time. Tiptoe the feet in. Keep drawing your shoulders away. Feel that you're almost bringing your hips over the shoulders. When you're so close that you're almost uncomfortable, lift your right leg up overhead, directly overhead, and you'll watch your left foot just float up. So we don't want to kick up into headstand. If you walk forward far enough, the left leg will just simply float up by itself. A little bit of core strength. Now just stay here and breathe. This is a headstand variation with the legs split. It is a little bit easier than having the legs overhead, as we are kind of broadening our center of gravity here. Notice that the shoulders, if you forget about them, they sometimes kind of want to droop downward, so we just really have to pull them up. So in this variation of headstand, we are also building upper body strength. So there's weight on the arms, in other words. Now, slowly watch the left foot come down, followed, controlled by the right. Take a break in child's pose, or tiptoe the feet in and go directly to the other side with the left leg overhead. Watch the right foot come up. Scissor the inner thighs. Lengthen and breathe. Draw the shoulders away. Keep the eyes open and keep the mind present with the breath and the body and all the sensations. Split the legs. Slowly watch the right leg descend, followed in a controlled way by the left. Feet together, knees together, down on the mat. Come down for a moment, extend your arms forward but with the elbows soft, and you can just roll your head a little side to side. Hands under shoulders, rise the torso up long. Bring your arms out in a 45 degree and just flip the fingers a little bit to release any tension there. It's also said to spread the energy throughout the whole body. Shake the hands out. Let's meet in a down dog transitional moment. And slowly walk your feet in to the top of the mat toward the hands. Widen the feet. Turn the toes out and release down through a squat. Grab a hold of your blanket and sit right at the edge of the blanket. Bring the right calf out, preparing for stacked wood or double pigeon. Bring the right leg out such that it's parallel to the front of the mat, and cross your right ankle, outer ankle above the inner thigh on the right side. You can also grab your upper left thigh and roll it back a little bit. Take a moment here. Flex the feet. Take a moment to feel here. For some people, this is very intense, so if you need to, you can draw the left foot in a little bit. But if you can, The calves are the wood that's stacked. Bring your fingertips behind and just tip in a little. Tip in, hinging at the hips. So we're not rounding forward, we're hinging and folding, keeping the chest open. Now, if you release the fingertips and nothing changes in the posture, you can bring it forward. You bring the hands forward. And this is where you could stay, either here or hands behind. If you want to come into a more intense variation, which also adds a twist, you can come with me. We start from forward and we walk the hands into the right diagonal. Reach the chest through that diagonal and the torso without bringing the left hip point forward. So keep the hip points aligning straight forward. Now, left elbow comes into the left foot, stack the palms, align the forearms, and twist into this diagonal, level 1. Level 2, walk the left hand down the foot, left arm down, until your whole forearm comes down. Next level, forearm down, right fingertips down, draw that left hip point back a little, stay here and twist and breathe in the twist. Final variation, the right arm comes around the back and binds the left inner thigh. Twist and turn the head as well. If your forearm is down, really ground. Breathing here. 2 more breaths. Empty the breath and deepen wherever we are. If you're bound with the right arm, come back to fingertips. Slowly lift up. If you were twisting, coming through the right diagonal to the center. With a long torso now, rise up and empty the breath here. Release the right foot forward and the left behind, finding a practice from Tibetan yoga. The left ankle is crossed over the right ankle. Shine your pelvic floor down on your blanket. Empty the breath completely. Inhale to the pelvic floor. Re-inhale, gentle Mula Bandha. Interlace your hands under the left knee and take oval circles toward the center with the breath held in. Feel like you're stirring the soup here. Keep the breath in, switch sides, inner oval circles. Pause at the center and gently exhale. Bring the feet together. Go toward the front, right toward the edge of your blanket. The arms are touching straight, they're touching the heels. Star pose, reach your hands around the feet. The elbows can rest on the calves. Inhale and exhale, come forward, wave the body. Inhale, open, and exhale, wave the body out. Last time, inhale, and exhale, wave it out. Leading with the chest, rise with the inhale, the long torso. Preparing for second side, the left leg coming to the front with the calf parallel to the front of the mat. Stack your right calf over, flex the feet. I really like this assist of drawing the right hip underneath me. And reach your fingertips behind, hinge and fold. Flex the feet. Already you can feel the hip opening here, especially for the top leg. Again, same options. If you bring your hands forward and you feel like you lost your alignment and you rounded the lower back, sometimes this can happen. So we want to be able to feel that we can sustain that length when we come forward. So your next option is right here. Just yearning the heart forward, flex the feet. And again, ideally we take the same option we did on the first side. If you're coming with me into the twist, come into the left diagonal, lengthen here, and bring the right elbow into the right instep. Stack the palms, align the forearms, lengthen and twist. Right here is a nice hip opening. Remember that right hip point, that it hasn't shifted at all. It's in one plane with the left. Again, if you went deeper, we glide that right arm down enough so that now the foot is on the upper arm and the forearm comes down. And we bring our left fingertips down for a little bit of leverage here and twist. And finally, wrapping the left arm around, binding the right thigh. Wherever we are, find a deep breath in the twist. In the twist, the breath is resisted by the posture, by the compression, but we try to breathe into that compression gently. So the breath is giving a nice massage into all the vital organs of the whole torso. Breathing here, relaxing the shoulders from the ears. Another breath or 3. Coming out of it as we went in. If you're wrapping, left fingertips come down. Slowly, gently release. Go into the left diagonal for a moment. Walk the hands forward. Find symmetry. Exhale here, and with a long torso, rise up. Bring the right foot in front of the left, cross at the ankles, flush the pelvic floor to the blanket. So I like to feel like I'm kind of rolling over the front of the sitting bones here a little bit. That way also the lower back, you can feel the lower back come in. Empty the breath completely. Inhale to the bandha. Re-inhale, Mula Bandha. Interlace the hands non-dominant way under the right knee and find those rotations inward with the breath held in. Notice that you're rocking on the whole pelvic floor and that you're also massaging all the inner organs with the compression of the breath and the movement. Switch. Pause and exhale. Slowly release. This time, let's take a wide straddle. Open the feet out. Come right to the edge of the blanket. You could even help your flesh come out from underneath you. Flex the feet. Now, I should have said if you have a washcloth, if you come all the way down, you'll feel more comfortable breathing freely if you have something underneath the mouth. The legs can be 90 degrees, maybe they could even be a little bit more, but we flex the feet so the knees and the toes are facing up. Once again, as before, we start with the hands in front, so we feel the pelvic bowl tipping forward. If the pelvic floor wants to tip back and it doesn't want to tip forward, then you can bend the knees a little bit and you keep the support of the hands. If the pelvic bowl stays comfortably tipping forward, the next moment is the hands down in front of us. And from there, this is such a beautiful pose to luxuriate in. There's no hurry to come into the full expression, your full expression of it. You can just gently walk the hands out, keep reaching through the heart, relaxing the shoulders, until you come to where you're comfortable. Maybe the forearms come down. Maybe they don't and you're staying on the hands. Maybe the hands walk out and you can bring your torso toward the floor. If this is the case, feel as if first your belly would touch, then your chest, and then your chin. So you're really staying long. And if you forgot the legs, flex the feet again. Feel the legs activate. So wherever we are, let's find our final level of depth and take 3 to 4 breaths here. We'll treat this essentially as our last posture. When we're ready, there's no hurry. As we're coming up, we want to feel that we're coming up with a really long torso. We rise all the way up, soften the knees, and then you start to shimmy the legs in toward each other. Bring the legs together. Slide off your blanket. Keep your legs straight. Bring your arms by the sides, and then slowly with one exhale, start to go down. Keep the legs together and active. Let your tailbone curl toward the heels, and slowly position sacrum down, back down, head down. Widen the legs, widen the arms. Take an inhale through the nose. And exhale, sigh it out through the mouth. Shavasana. If you have any sensation lingering in the lower back, you can bring the feet to partial recline like we started. Pin the tailbone down, caterpillar the spine up. Allow the lower back to press into the floor and release and soften. And then when you're ready, the legs can extend. Let everything release now. The eyes can be closed or open in Shavasana, continually surrendering the body into the floor. And since we're working with the grounding practice this week and next, allow this Shavasana to feel like a continual surrender. Connect with the feeling of gravity as a support and as an embrace, not as a limitation. Relax and release, and finally come into that open intelligence, open awareness. Some styles call it open monitoring, where the awareness embraces the entire experience of your being, physical or not physical, physical and non-physical. With the next in-breath, draw a deeper breath in. Again, you can sigh it out. Lengthen the legs in front of us, take the arms overhead. Stretch the legs and the fingertips away from each other. Draw the knees in. Step on the feet. Roll to your right side. Or feel free to come to your left side if it's evening. And gently, with minimal effort, and the eyes cast downward or still closed, find a seat. Just a comfortable seat.
So we can close our practice together. Feel free to grab your blanket if that's more comfortable for you. Invite the lower back in and lengthen up through the crown. Feel the torso long. Ground through the sitting bones. Feeling how the grounding is also the lifting. Gather the palms to heart center, preparing to close with the mantra, may all beings be happy and free. Let's breathe in together. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino